Hello everyone, this is Ashley here, and this is the second workshop that we want to run on SPSS. I hope you enjoyed the first one, and this is a progressive step from the previous one. So, what we want to do today would be, first of all, some details before we start. This is the CeMaSTeL email. Just to remind you that if you are doing some SPSS work based on previous workshops and today's workshop, and you want to send us the workshop, the SPSS work, then please be my guest, and I'll be happy to have a look and give you some feedback on the first one that we did a few days back. Right, and second thing is, as usual, I'd like to say thank you to Dr. Mostason, who is the module leader, MSc Management module for SPSS, and it's the materials that he's designed for MSc Management student that I try to customize and run for these workshops. So before you listen to this one, I would suggest that you go through the first workshop on SPSS. It's on this website. I'm sure you've seen this quite a few times now. So please listen to the first workshop. It would make more sense than to do the second one. Right. Briefly, what we want to do today is sorry, that's the last one. So what we want to do today is again work on a questionnaire. And I want you, so let's minimize it slightly. So I want you, if you've gone through the first workshop, I would like you to pause and look at this, read this set of questions, and give me three things that you think are different from the first questionnaire. And you can pause the video and then come back later. But I do want you to analyze this questionnaire first. Also, be critical of it. What could you have done differently, or what could you have improved on? But please take a while and look at these set of questions, and then think of the difference between this questionnaire and the previous one. So please feel free to pause. Now, the main three differences would be that unlike the first questionnaire, there is no responses given to you here. It's just a questionnaire. For the first workshop, we gave you the questionnaire and we gave you the responses collected. This one, all I'm doing is just give you the questionnaire, and the job is to put the variables in SPSS, and then that's what we want to discuss. So uh, that's the first difference. The second difference is question number 3, uh, where we have a yes and no as options for you to select from. And clearly, if you select yes, then question number 4 and 5 make sense. If you select no, then question number 6, then you move straight from 3 to 6, and you can choose whatever you have to choose from the options on question number 6. So if you recall, in the first questionnaire, if a person didn't have a bike, then the remaining questions would be completely redundant. Whereas here we have some options, and this is known as this question number 3 is known as the branching question, because depending on what you reply, you're going to move on to prospective questions, right? So I'm going to talk about this later. So this is the set of 7 questions that we have, and the idea is to implement them in SPSS. So as usual, we're going to start SPSS. All right. I hope that you know what to do, how to download SPSS. I hope that you've already done it, and it's a matter of just activating now and doing the work. So I hope this video tutorial wouldn't be as long as the previous one, which was about 34 minutes long, and I'll try to keep it short this time. So since we are starting a new project, I'm going to click on data set here. If you recall, I did say let's ignore this window, and the reason being that this window is used to read and analyze outputs. Right now we're not doing any analysis, so we won't be using this window. So we're going to keep here, keep using this one. I did mention three main three main things in the first workshop, which is variable view, data view, and this little box here. I do hope you remember what the users are. So this is the first. This is the questionnaire. Briefly, if I can show you the first questionnaire last time for um, for the first workshop. As you can see, this is what I meant earlier. If you answer no here, then all these questions will be pretty much useless, and hence we had missingness that we had to take into account there. And here as well, we will have some missingness, some missing values that we have to consider. So let's start. Like I said, I do want to keep this one short. The first one is a bit, well, basically what's the questionnaire about is to investigate confidence and chapters that participant might have studied when it comes to mathematics and statistics. So that's basically it. Like I said, please by all means pause the video, read the questions before you move on. So the first question clearly is quite easy, and uh, what is your gender? So I would suggest that excuse me. Just like before, I would suggest that we define the first variable as gender, right? So we are on variable view, that would be gender, and numerical. I hope you know what I'm doing here. I'm going to decrease the decimal points. I'm going to put it 0. So here again, investigate gender of participants. The values that I want to assign to male, female. So uh, maybe I would probably like to assign 0 to male, add, and number 1 to female, add. Okay, there's no missingness here. Let's say, let's assume that everybody uh, responded to that particular question, but it all depends on the responses that you've collected. If you have one missing value for gender, then you might decide to use this. So right now I'm going to keep it as such. uh, Measure, it's qualitative data, so I will choose ordinal. Sorry, I would choose nominal, because there's no such thing as order in male female. There you go. So that's done. And the second question is, how old are you in years? So age, and numeric, by default age is a numerical data. Quantitative data, so just age of participants. Clearly I'm not going to assign numbers to numbers, so the values will be by default numeric anyway. So I'll keep this as default none, and the missingness as well none. And if I come here, if you recall, scale is used for quantitative data, so I'm going to choose scale here. The third one, have you studied stats before? So what I can write is, up to you, but I can write experience in stats, right? So answer from my questionnaire answers yes and no, and which, and then clearly I would assign values here. If I want to label uh, prior maths stats knowledge, right? And I will decrease this to 0. Hopefully you know what I'm doing, and I will assign yes and no, right? So we have two options here, yes and no, to this one. So I might decide to put 0 for no and 1 for yes. Please remember that you've chosen 0 and 1 here, 0 and 1 here. That's not a problem at all, and you can choose any number, that's fine. Let's assume there is no missingness. Experience uh, is nothing probably uh, major, in the sense that I'm not going to give priority for people who've saying yes or saying no. So I'll decide to put this as nominal. Okay. Now before I move on, let's come back to this question. This is what I call a branching question, which means that if someone answers yes, then that person will go to question number 4 and question number 5, and ignore question number 6 and go to question number 7. If someone answers no, then clearly the person will go to question number 6 and then question number 7 straight. So this is the definition, or how a branching question looks like, and it depends on what the participant answer, right? So one slight improvement on the questionnaire, and I didn't have space to write it, would be question number 4. So please bear in mind that I will upload this questionnaire, but then there is another file that I want to upload, which is particular to question number 4, and that's because I forgot to put some options there. And let's say, so that's my question. If someone replies yes, then question number 4 says, how confident are you using mathematics and stats? I do apologize, there should have been some options here, and here are the options. So how good are you in using maths and stats? 5 options are given. You don't your reason might not fall into this. What would you do then? And is there another way to improve this question? Please think about this. So the options that we would have had would be, I've never been good at maths or stats. Second one, I don't like maths or stats, but I'll work at it. Third, I don't mind. Fourth, I quite like maths and stats. And fifth, I'm really good at maths and stats. So this is for that, for question number 4. So question number 4, we'll label it as confident, the variable confident, numeric, and so confidence, confidence of participants, right? And here I will assign values. Please remember, do not hesitate to write your 1, 2, 3s, even though you've used it before. There is no overlap, there's no clash, there's no confusion. You can just write the same numbers, or you can come up with other numbers. So I'm just going to copy and paste here. So there you go. So that's number 1. Oops. Yep. Add. Then number 2 would be this one. Number 3. Number 4. And number 5. There you go. So, like I said, I do apologize. I should have written those options in the questionnaire, but I will upload this erratum page where you can go back and see that question number 4. Right. There you go. Right. Okay. Now, let me spend some time here. Sorry, that's okay, done here. Let me spend some time here. So we have those 5 options. And as you can see from the questionnaire, only if someone answered yes to question number 3 can someone go to question number 4, which means there will be missing values coming from participant who answered no on question number on question number 3. So again, you please pause the video and think about it. I would think that there might be two reasons for missingness here. The first one, the obvious one, is for question number 3. They decided to leave it. They answered no, and hence question number 4 is redundant. And another reason is that none of the reasons. The question was, how confident are you using mathematics? And none of the reasons were mentioned here. So that's why they left it blank. So I might want to, not I might want, but I have to at least consider the fact that someone didn't answer question number 3, and hence left question number 4 blank. So I would suggest that let's find two reasons. So question number, I will call it 10 and 20. Please recall what they mean. 10 would mean a specific reason, 20 would mean something else. These are two arbitrary numbers. Please do not use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They've been used for this variable confident here. So on this line, please do not repeat numbers, but on the column, you can please do what you want. You can repeat the numbers, I mean. So let's say we have two reasons, and I can identify them as this, right? 10 being missing because before I explain this, but do remember last time I said that this is probably where you would need pen and paper, because there is no space in SPSS where you can define 10 or 20 for missingness. So this would be very useful if you have pen and paper, where you would have to write for question number 4. For question number 4, right? So please remember, you would need to write them down, otherwise you'll forget. So let's say 10 would be the values being missing because they answered no to question number 3. Hence, clearly they would leave question number 4 blank. 20 missing because they just didn't answer the question. Probably, like I've said, they didn't understand the question, or they have another reason which wasn't mentioned in the selection here, right? So that's why they left it blank. And um, what do you reckon here? What shall I be doing? So for confident, let's go back here. For confident, first of all, let's break it down here. It's not quantitative, it is qualitative. Hence, there's no way I'm going to keep it on scale. It will be either ordinal or nominal. Second, if we look carefully, then there is kind of a ranking here where that's what is known as Likert scale, where we have a type of ranking where this probably is the most negative feeling, and that's the most positive feeling. So I hope you agree with me that it's a qualitative, hence it has to be one of these two, but clearly it has to be an ordinal data where order here is important, right? So these are the 4 variables, and I'm going to go to the next question, and I hope now you see that this question is extremely interesting. And please, I'll discuss something, and then please pause the video and think about what would you have done. So the question is quite straightforward. Which of the following subjects have you previously seen? Again, only a person who answered yes on question number 3 would go ahead and choose the options on question number 5. If you answer no on question number 3, then you wouldn't. So I know there will be a reason for missingness. Second, if I read this, click as many as you like. So here, for the first time, I don't think we saw this in the first workshop. Here um, we have up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 ticks, selections, which is seen for the first time in our workshop. So pause the video and then try to think about it and let me know what would you have done here, right? So by all means, please pause and then think about it, and then you can start playing it again. Right, so I hope you've thought about it. Now, what I would do is I would break question number 5 into bits. And we didn't do that in the first workshop because we didn't need to. There was no multiple selection in the first workshop, and here we do. So don't be rigid and be flexible. Why should we always stick with question number 5? Why can't we call this question number 5 A, 5B, 5C, D, and so on? So by all means, you can consider each option as a variable. So if someone decides to click on everything, fine, and if they decide to choose some of them, fine. So let's go back to SPSS and see what we can do. Now, um, what I want to call the variable I want to use that I've used here is start sub A. So I've called this question 5 as start, then sub question A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So let's come back here. So that what I want to do is, for example, I want to call it start, okay, capital, just to make it a bit nicer. Sub question A. Okay, now that's me, and please, by all means, you could have written this if it helps. Question 5A if you want, right? So if it helps, fine. Whatever you want, the variable is up to you. So I'm going to go back to mine. Start sub A, and I hope you understand what I'm doing here. It's going to be start sub B. Oops. Okay, fine. Let's change it straight away. B, start sub B, fine. Start sub C. Right? So that's just my question number 5 split into 8 parts. That's because I have 8 sub questions or sub selects 8 options to select from, and I can select all 8 of them. That's the instructions here. So like I said, don't be rigid, don't try to keep them all as one variable. Make sure you understand what I'm doing here. I've decided to split these options as subsections, right? So all will be 0. I can call it question 5A, and as a reference, I don't want to waste time here. I'm sure you know what I'm going to write. Question 5B, C, D, E. So that's going to be question 5H, I think. Right. So please fill this up yourself, and I hope you know what we're trying to do here, the labeling. Now, the values would be either we tick it or not, and you can just write, sorry, let me just see what I've done, and you can just write no or yes. So for example, if the so which of the following subjects have you previously seen? A person putting a tick here clearly means that they've done means and median, and if they don't put a tick or they put a cross, for example, you know that they haven't. So what I can do is right, so I'm going to say 0 for no. I hope that's a 0. Yeah, 0 for no, and 1 for yes. Right, and I'm going to do the same thing for all of them. You can just copy paste, by the way. Let's try this then. Let's make sure we get it right. I just I just want to make sure that you know what we are doing. So we see D, E, F, G, H. All right. So just to double check, we have yes and no for each one of them. So clearly, if someone is answering and you're collecting responses, you will just choose yes and no as question number 5 subsections here, right? Missing, definitely there will be at least one reason. Remember, if someone answers no on question number 3, then they won't answer question number 5. So let me come back here. And for missingness, I can use 10 and 20, I can use 100 and 200. It's up to you, whatever values, uh, as long as you don't repeat 0 and 1 here. And let me repeat, you don't use the same numbers when you are working in the rows, but you can use the same numbers working in the column. So just not to waste time, can I just copy paste here? It's gonna be same. Oops. Right, let me just choose one and see. So uh, right, okay, right, okay, so this basically means that on a piece of paper, there you go, missing because the answer, there was no answer because the participant answered no to question number 3. And the second reason could be that it's just the person didn't bother. Right, so that's for the missingness. Let's kind of spend some time here. I do hope that you will agree with me. It's all nominal. And there you go. That's designing our questionnaire, and that's taking care of the sub questions, the question which I decided to convert to sub questions. I'm not going to do question number 6 and 7. That's your homework. Please feel free to email me and let me see your SPSS work. I've gone through question number 5, question number 1 to number 5. By all means, try question number 6 and 7. As well, there should be missingness here briefly. That's because if you've answered no to question number 3, they wouldn't answer number 6, and you can find another reason where just for some reason they left it blank. Is it important that managers understand statistics? Easy one, yes, no. Uh, you can have a third option, just if you want to think of how we could improve on this questionnaire. You can always have a third option saying that no idea, like you still don't know. Right, so that's it for today. Let me see, is there anything else? Yeah, I should have talked about data view. The two things I want to talk about, which one of them I forgot to mention last time. So data view will help you to put the responses in, so mail and so on. Remember, all these arrows appear because I've clicked on this here. So let me just briefly do one. So let's find number 23, experience. Let's click on yes. Confident, I don't mind. That's the first one. I'm just choosing arbitrarily here because I need to show you something else before we stop. There you go. Uh, just to repeat myself, these arrows appeared because this box was ticked. Now, what I forgot to mention last time is you have these, and what if you click on the arrow again? Just focus here before I click on it. Look here. If I click on it, then the numbers that you've chosen as options, or the numbers that you've used to assign the qualitative data, the qualitative responses, would appear. So that's if you unclick the box. As you can see, there's no frame around A and 1, and if you click back on it, you have the English terms that you've used. I think that's it for today. Please, guys, make sure you practice, or you add those two questions on SPSS. The whole thing shouldn't take you more than 10 minutes to do. uh, I'm going to invite you to send me your SPSS file for me to have a look. Feel free to do so, and I will comment and give feedback on your work. Thank you very much, and hopefully I can upload workshop number 3 next week. Till then, bye bye.